My name is Andi Jarvis, and I am here today to talk to you about marketing. My company is Eximo Marketing, as you can see on the screen just there. I'm going to talk to you today about the 4-page marketing plan. It's a simple format that will help improve how your business goes about your marketing. It's a plan that I've worked on over a number of years and refined to try and make it more usable. Because I think the huge problem with a lot of marketing plans is they go and die because there's just too much information in them. And I'm going to explain all of that over the next 20 minutes. I'm a marketing strategist and I've been running a company based in Bangor for the last 8 years now. And I've been in marketing for a bit longer than that, coming up to 25 years. I have a podcast if that's your thing and you want to hear more about marketing. Interview people like Seth Godin, April Dunford, Rand Fishkin, Rory Sutherland, who you might have seen if you're on TikTok. You might have seen Rory there. Now, if you want to keep in touch, please do. There's my details. That slide comes back up again at the end. You can either follow me on LinkedIn or connect and get my weekly-ish email that comes out, mostly about marketing and things people have said on the podcast. And over the years, I've worked with a number of great companies, some huge like BYD, the car company, and some much smaller, more local companies like Leasing Options, Bianco, Trainers in Armagh, SDG also in Armagh. And this sort of format of marketing plan, while it changes a little bit with the size of the company, actually works across all different types of company. Yes, the complexity goes up a little as you get into bigger companies, but I've used this format across so many different places. Now, I've got a quiz question for you to get this presentation started. And what we're going to do is I've spoken to Field Motion, the organizers, and I am going to ask you a quiz question. And what we're going to do is at some point, we're going to make one person's camera come on while you're watching this, and you're going to be live with me, and we can work out and you can answer the question. If you get it right, there's a prize for you. So you ready? What I want to know is, what do these 6 men have in common, right? And in 5 seconds, your camera could come on and you could be live with me on this webinar. And we're going to ask you if you know the answer to this question. Are you ready? So I'll give you a second just to prepare, just in case you need to sort out the backdrop. Abraham Lincoln, Churchill, Mark Twain, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, and Albert Einstein. Right, are you ready? 5, someone's camera's going to come on. 4, 3, 2. It's a recorded webinar, and we couldn't make your camera come on even if we wanted to. But I just wanted to check that you were listening, so thank you for paying attention. So what do these men all have in common? Well, as far as I can tell, every quote you see on the internet was said by one of these people. I think that's just the truth. Or as Abraham Lincoln once said, don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it. But 2 quotes that I think 2 people in that list did say. One is from Albert Einstein. If you can't explain it simply enough, you don't understand it well enough. I've even got that wrong. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Which is a really important point. As I said, I think too many marketing plans have too much in them because people don't understand it well enough. So what they do is throw more detail at it and hope that they won't notice or the boss won't notice. And the other one was Churchill's famous memo on brevity, which itself feels a little long for this format. But the whole point Churchill made during wartime was that actually memos needed to be shorter and more to the point. And I think that's really important when it comes to marketing plans. Let's end the war and peace era of writing marketing plans and create short, punchy, effective documents that will do something for your business instead of long, leather-bound documents that go in a drawer and never get looked at ever again. This was influenced by a guy called Dan Rubel, who was also on the podcast. He ex-P&G, he's now basically the leading marketer for Couriers and PC World. I managed to work with him a couple of years ago on a few bits and bobs, and his approach is very much, let's get everything down to a couple of sides of paper. Now, into the marketing side of things, right? So marketing has generally a sort of 3 approaches, right? You've got the data, which feeds in, and Joanne will be talking about, which feeds in and informs your strategy, which then moves into implementation and getting stuff done. So the information you have informs the data, the decisions you're going to make. And then the implementation is how you bring that to life, which creates more data, which then informs your strategy. It's that simple. That's how data informs strategy, informs tactics. They all work together. Keep that little demo, that little wheel in mind while we talk about the 4-page marketing plan. Now, it's not perfect, right? No marketing plan is perfect, but this is effective. And that's the main thing I focus on is can we make the plan effective for you and for your business, because I always believe that done is better than perfect. That doesn't say in certain things we shouldn't strive for perfection. We shouldn't, when we're doing jobs for clients, do it to the best of our ability. Of course, we should do that. But sometimes with marketing plans, the planning phase can take forever, or the need to sit down and write a document suddenly becomes overwhelming. So you don't do it. You're busy. You run a business. I get that. You might even be doing some of the jobs in your business as well as trying to run it. You're probably the sales department, the HR department, the marketing department, some of the operations department, and all of the accountancy team, right? It happens when you run a business. Not everybody wears that many hats, but if you're a CEO or market managing director, you're probably doing a few jobs. So let's make a plan that you can use as opposed to one that looks perfect but sits in a drawer. So the 4 pages of the 4-page marketing plan are dead simple. You take a picture of this, or I think the slides will be available to download. It has a strategy page, it has a tactics page, a calendar page, and a budget page. They're your 4 pages of your marketing plan. Can you get it all on one page for each one of those? Pretty much. Depends on how much you're doing. The one that's a struggle to get on one page, I'll be honest, is the tactics. But really, if you're in B2B sales, you can often get it on one page, right? But what's the difference? What do all these terms really mean? Well, strategy, think of it in this term. Strategy is where you are going, and tactics is how are you going to get there. One is not more important than the other. They both matter, right? But they work together. Where are you going? How are you going to get there? Calendar is when you'll be doing it, and a budget is how much is it going to cost, with in brackets, and when do you think the money's going to come in? When's it going to pay off, right? More of a cash flow forecast, I think, than a budget, but it's not a perfect cash flow forecast that your chief finance officer would love. But let's get into it. So marketing strategy, right? I believe firmly you can get almost any business on the planet's marketing strategy onto one page. And here's an example of the sort of document that I present to clients. Yes, it's particularly ugly. And this is just a company I made up for the purposes of this presentation. Just to give you some background, it is a maintenance company that's based in Ireland, right? So they have people out on the road fixing stuff for clients and helping keep their businesses running. And they have a headquarters in Ireland. Doesn't matter where it is, right? It's just a fictional company. And I'll keep referring back to this document as we go through this 4-page marketing plan, right? So just don't worry about what it says on there. I'm going to go through it step by step. So a marketing strategy, again, has just 4 sections, and you can take a picture of this if you want as well. Marketing strategies are dead simple. The first thing you have to do is answer, what problem are you solving this year? This year is important, and I'll talk about why. The second bit is, who are you targeting? Who do you want to buy your services or your products, right? That's it. Who are you targeting? Why are they going to buy from you? Why does that person or that group of people want to buy your product, right? And then what's your definition of success? What does good look like? What does great look like? That's it. You got those 4 things, you've got a marketing strategy. Remember, strategy is setting direction for what you are going to do as an organization this year in marketing. That gives you the direction. So let's dive into them one at a time. What problem are you solving? Now, the Swedes have a wonderful word, which is, almost impossible for anyone who speaks English to say. So handily, I've got a Swedish fella to say it for you. Let's hope that the audio is going to come through when I click play on this. What I want to talk about is problem formula as spring privilege gate. Can you just save me and just and say that word for me, please? And apologies to anyone who's listening about that.
So the Swedish word is problemformuleringsprivilegiet.
Which sounds much better when you say it. So, thank you very much. So doesn't it sound much better when you get a Swede saying it than an Englishman saying it? So yes, what that means, the privilege of defining the problem. And this is obviously such an important step with marketing plans that is often missed, right? And here we are on the strategy document that I've just shown you. And in red, you can see what the problem we're trying to solve for this fictional company is this year, right? And I'm going to zoom in and make it a bit bigger. Main problem to solve, convert website traffic and social media growth to new business. So just think about this for a minute, right? This company is not new. It's been in business 30 years, right? And over the last couple of years, they maybe hired a marketing person 2 or 3 years ago. And that marketing person has made a huge difference. Their social media following on Facebook and on Instagram has grown quite a lot. Their website traffic has gone up to levels they've never seen before, but their business isn't growing as fast as they can. or as they want to. So the problem that they have to solve this year is not to drive more traffic to the website, is not to get more social media fans. That was maybe the brief that the marketing person was given when they started. Now we have a different challenge, which is actually we've got a lot of traffic, we've got a lot of people who know our business, but they're not buying. So that's the challenge. We're not saying we're getting the wrong people. We might be getting the right people that might just not be buying. Or we might have the wrong people. That's why they're not buying. We don't know. But what we're saying at this stage is the challenge we have is to convert website traffic and social media growth to new business. That defines everything we're going to do for the next year. That's the main problem you solve. And you've got to work that out for your business. What challenges do you have? What problem are you trying to solve? It's different for every business. It's hard to give a blanket on a podcast and say, oh, yeah, this is it, right? If you want to reach out, drop me a message on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes trying to help you with that by asking you a few questions. But one of the key things to look at is, okay, well, what's going well and what's not going well? And what are you trying to achieve as an organization in the next 5 years? So if you are based in Belfast and you're trying to grow across Northern Ireland and you're not getting many leads from Dublin, doesn't matter, right? If all your business is coming from Monaghan and Cavan, but you want more customers in Armagh and Tyrone, okay, well, what do I have to do to build that across there? You've got to understand what the problems are in your business right now and how you want marketing to help out solve them. And then that narrows it down and helps the marketing team focus, because jobs are busy, people are busy. And if you can give that focus, that's a really important thing that will help things get better. So then we're going to talk about who are you targeting. Right? That's the next step in it. What problem are you solving and who are you targeting? And that, again, is right here on this document in that I was going to say it's gold and silver. It's more of an off yellow and silver. And again, let's zoom in and have a look at them. Now, what have we got here? So we've got a CEO. So again, it's a mythical facilities management maintenance company, right? So the first person they want to talk to is the CEO of a smaller business. This is their key client, the sort of business who you do a lot of work with all the time, right? And for this company, they run a growing small business, a couple of million in turnover. They're still really hands-on as a CEO. They're busy doing everything. They've got a lot of people double jobbing. And actually, they've realized now this is a problem. This is actually stopping them from growing, because instead of people focusing on their main job, they're actually all getting involved in maintenance. It's about time we started to look for someone to outsource that to, who can come and fix stuff for us rather than us having to do it ourselves. That's the CEO, and that's the problem they've got. They also think, well, we're trying to grow the business as well, right? So as we're trying to grow the business, we also maybe want to try and get some bigger contracts. And for that, we want to reach maintenance managers. These are people in businesses that turn over 10 million, whose only job is making sure that the lights are on, the things are working, the belts are moving, and everything just runs, right? They're managed by somebody else who manages them on uptime, on downtime, on money spent, on money saved, all that sort of stuff. Their job is solely focused. Very different sort of customer. And what their job is, they want to just get a good partner in who they know will make them look good. It's not going to go to tender. It's not government work or anything like that. It's not that sort. We don't want to go there yet. But it's a bigger company who are just looking for a great partner to help them. There are two customers. That's it. That's who we want to target. Think about that and go back to your social media plan. Go back to the main problem you're trying to solve. We're getting a lot of traffic, but it's not converting into business. Well, okay. Are we getting a lot of traffic from these two? How do we find that out? Are they asking the questions on this sort of thing? Or is it all your mates liking your posts on social media? Because it doesn't matter how many people come. It's how many of these people come. That's what's really important for you. Now, if you've done any marketing before, if you've looked at something like this, you might have been told to create personas for your clients. Now, as a marketer, I love marketing personas, right? And these things like this are fantastic. This is a very good one from a company called Trustpilot, and it's a really good persona that has lots of good information on it. What matters to the person, what their job titles are, what challenges they have, what case studies they have. Lots of interesting stuff there. But I think it might be overkill for a lot of businesses, right? Start with something simple like this, which want CEOs, and this is the problem they have, right? And then build out from there as you get more data and you can be more specific with it. If you Google creating personas, you often find documents like this, and I absolutely hate these. They've got little things on like the personality sliders, right? This lady is 52% extroverted. What do I do with that information, right? If she was 48% extroverted, or if she was 75% agreeable. What am I going to do differently with that information? And you see stuff like this all the time. If you Google how to create a marketing persona, my advice is don't Google how to create a marketing persona. Create something ugly that looks like this, right? Especially in B2B sales, you've got a much fewer group of people that you're aiming for, a smaller group of people, right? If you're in consumer marketing, you might have 20, 30 different groups of people. That might be slightly different, but business to business, small, you don't want more than 3 target customers, right? That's not to say you're only targeting 3 CEOs, but CEO, maintenance manager, finance director, right? That's 3. But the reality is with this, we're going to spend 80% of our time talking to our core business, CEOs, and we're going to spend 20% of time trying to reach out to our new market, maintenance manager market. That'll help the business grow. That's it. That's who you're targeting. Then where do we go next? Why will they buy from you? Now, again, people talk about this. You get asked all the time if you've been on Go Succeed or if you've done any other courses or, you've got a business mentor. So what's your unique selling proposition? I'm in marketing, who marketers invented unique selling propositions. And let me tell you, I don't think they really exist. Not in the way that people talk about them anyway. You could create something that's unique or you think it's unique, but the fact is it's not you who has to think it's unique. It's your customer. And when you talk about unique selling propositions, I hear lots of things like, "Oh, we're unique because we do X process in Y way." I'm like, but the end result for the customer is exactly the same as how everybody else does it. Your process doesn't matter in that way. So I don't talk about USP so much. Go back to this table that we had, and we've got a couple of bits of info. This is why your customer is going to buy from you. The CEO wants to know what services you do. How is he going to pay? Do I pay one off? Is it ad hoc? Do I have a monthly retainer? What happens if it's a monthly retainer? What if the roof blows off? Do you come and do that within the retainer? I want to know the detail of that. I want to know what your service level agreement is. If I ring you up and say this has happened, when do you turn up and fix it? But importantly, the reason they're going to buy from you isn't that. That's information. That's rational. The bit that's going to make them buy from you is testimonials from the other CEO who says this is something you want to buy. Testimonials. And it's the same. The maintenance manager, maybe the information is a bit more practical. Service level agreement. How many people are on your teams? What happens on bank holiday? What work shift patterns do you have? Do you have public liability insurance? How much for? Are your staff fully trained? Give me all this information. Bum, 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 bum. What's your contract example? Case studies. Right? Slightly different information. But the other reason they're going to buy from you is what in mission, vision, values, those sorts of things, right? This company has got a great mission, which is our business runs to keep your business running. Yeah, I know it's terrible. I just made it up because it's an example. And why would you buy from them? You're family owned with 30 years experience. You'll see there is a blank pillar there. Often this works better if you have 3 reasons. And these are the sorts of things where imagine somebody stops you in the street and says, what do you do? I run a maintenance company that, we run to keep other businesses running. Okay. Oh, how do you do that then? What's special about it? Well, we're family owned. We've been running 30 years and we've got the biggest team in Northern Ireland or something like that, right? There are your 3 pillars that you talk about it. And then you go, oh, that sounds interesting. I know a guy who might want, why should we work with you? What does your company do differently? We've got this guarantee. If it's not right first time, we'll fix it for free. Oh, that sounds really positive. Can we have a call? Right? These are the reasons people buy from you. It's not one USP that's magically different to everyone else, but you bundle these things together. And actually, you are different. We've got great testimonials from a business that looks like yours. We've got a service level agreement. That means we'll be there in less than 24 hours. And if it's a code red, we'll be there in 2 hours. You pay once a month and it's a flat fee and it doesn't change. And if we're not right, we'll fix it for free. Oh, and my name's Andy. I run the business and it's my company. My dad started it. We're still in the family 30 years later. Bundle all those together and you are a little bit different. You have a unique selling point. It's not just one thing that's unique. It's a bundle of things, right? That's why people buy from you. So what are those things for your business? Have a look at the format, rip it off and write one for your business. And then lastly, define success, right? Smart objectives, been talked about millions of times before. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. The key thing is time-bound. If it doesn't have a time limit on it, it's just an aspiration. It's a hope. So for this company, the plan is the corporate plan is as a business, we want to double turnover in 3 years. That doesn't need to be in the marketing plan, but I put it in anyway because it sticks in your head and you know where you're going. But for marketing, we do marketing plans in 1 year increments. So this year, we want to get growth going. We want to grow by 10%. And marketing is going to add 10% in revenue in the next financial year. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. There we are. That is your entire marketing strategy on one page. You got it. So what do you do with a marketing strategy? Well, a strategy is just a piece of paper unless you have tactics that go with it. Now, tactics, as I say, is not it's not less good than strategy. It's not less useful. If you just have a piece of paper but you don't execute anything, well, then nothing happens, right? So the easiest way I've found to put the tactics onto one page is using a table or a table, as it's called. And that's an acronym. That's why there's two T's, which stands for target, tactic, action, budget, lead. As you'll see, we use the E from lead to make it say table, right? And this incredibly ugly slide is what a tactics page looks like. Now, in B2B, you can pretty much get it on there, right? It's not supposed to have every I dotted and every T crossed. It's not supposed to have the subject for every newsletter in. That comes later. That's what your marketing person does. This is a one-page overview of what's going on. So I'm not going to read all of it out to you, but I'll pick a couple of things out. So at the top, who the target is the gold customer, right? You know who the gold customer is. That's the CEO of a business that does about 2 million and wants to start doing, bringing in professionals rather than doing everything themselves. The tactic is we're going to do a webinar. So they don't have to leave their office and they can hear from people like us. And what's the action? Well, the action is we're going to do a quarterly series of webinars with CEOs about how they focus on their business, not about maintenance, about how they focus on their business. This is going to bring other CEOs who goes, I need that. I'm going to see how I can be better. It's got our logo punched all over it. And at some point in that, we talk about our services and how we help CEOs fix it. Might even use some of our clients on that webinar. Think about it, right? And we're going to try and build a list of other CEOs. We're going to try and build some visibility with CEOs. And we're going to spend, because it's a webinar, not a huge amount, maybe $1,000 on that. And Sarah in the team's going to lead that. Target, tactic, action, budget, lead. Let's go down. What else are we going to do? Gold, social media, more focused content on testimonials from CEOs and greater focus on the services we provide, not just profiling staff. So for the last couple of years, we've been profiling staff. Our social media has been growing, but we've not been selling on it. So now we're going to focus that more and try and sell, because the problem we're trying to solve this year is trying to sell more, right? I'm going to spend 500 quid on it. Move down a little bit. Gold. We're going to do a charity fix. We're going to do like a DIY SOS project once during the year, where we're going to find a local charity that needs some help fixing a building. And we're going to go out and work with the local business community and say, we're going to fix this building on this day in August. Would you send some staff? Do you have any things that you could help donate to it or something like that? And guess what you're doing? Building community spirit, building relationships with CEOs of businesses in the area, getting people down to come, getting them to see the work you do and go, geez, these guys are lovely doing all that work for free. Using things like that to focus on the problem you're trying to solve. Down at the bottom, we've got silver. This company sponsors the local GAA team, and we're going to invite some of those maintenance managers that we want to target to come along to the All Ireland or the Ulster final or something like that, so we can build a bit of a relationship with them. And we're also going to send them some emails and calls. This just gives you the overview of what you're going to do as an organization, right? That's it. It's not telling you a week on Thursday you're going to do X, Y, and Z. It's this is the overall guiding thing for what we're going to do. And then from tactics, you take all of that and you put it in a calendar. Again, not a day-by-day calendar. This is just an annual overview. Again, so don't worry, this isn't right. It's just to give you an idea. What this shows is you start to block up what months you're going to do what activity, and you can start to see where the choke points are going to be. And you can look at that and go, right, we're going to be really busy with marketing in September, October, November. We're also really busy on the tools in September, October, November, because actually everyone comes back from holiday, the schools start back. That's when we get really busy. Do we need to rethink this? Or do we need to put some more resource on it? How do we make that work? What this does is just helps you resource plan for what you're going to do as an organization. That's it. You can drive it down into weekly actions, monthly actions in a monthly team meeting or a weekly team meeting. When you meet your marketing person or whoever's going to be doing bits of marketing for you, they don't necessarily have to be a marketer. When you do that, you sit down and you go, right, so in where are we now? We are in January. So you go, right, okay, March, we need to be doing this. Where are we with that? What actions do we need to take? This just guides what you're doing. And then we're on a budget. So you've got your strategy, you've got your tactics, and you've got your calendar of events. So now you know roughly when you're going to be spending money because you've got a calendar that tells you when you're going to be spending money. So you can start to plot when the money's coming out, and then you can start to make some assumptions or guesses as to when the money's going to come in. as well. Now, again, all these figures are entirely made up and have no relevance to a maintenance company, right? They're just an example. So it's a bit of I don't want to call it a cash flow forecast because anyone who's trained in finance would kill me for that. But it's a kind of a budget that shows money in and money out. So for these things, you're going to spend certain money, which is in red, in certain months. So you know how much you're going to spend. And you also know that the income should come in some months. Now, if this is a monthly payment plan, you've got monthly recurring revenue from your customers. So that's that you have to remember to factor that in every month, right? If someone's paying you £500 a month for maintenance services or £5,000 a month, that goes in every month from when you think they will sign up. And you can start then to predict marketing will cost X, but deliver Y. That's it. This is a 4-page marketing plan, dead simple and usable. Now, when I talk about this in other places, I often get asked one question. And the one question I get asked is, Andy, where's the competitor analysis? An uncontroversial opinion. I think for 99% of businesses, maybe 98, but probably 99% of businesses, competitor analysis is pretty much a waste of time. Now, why do I say that? I say that because actually, unless you're tracking market share, it doesn't really matter what your competitors are doing. If you focus on doing what you do well, focus on what makes you different on those 3-4 things that you can bundle together, there is usually enough market for most people to go out and win enough to achieve what they want to achieve, right? If you start looking at your competitors, you start looking going, oh, hold on, they've done a cut price deal. We should do a cut price deal. But you don't know what problem they're trying to solve this year, right? You don't know if that deal's working. You don't know if they're losing money and are going out of business. And why would you copy a business that's going out of business? That's madness, right? You do not know what they're doing. So the phrase I often use is stop copying your competitors. They don't know what they're doing either, right? It's madness to just look at other people. You start to compare yourself to them and start to rip off what they do. You just do it less well. Focus on what you have to do and do it better. If you do need to do a competitor analysis, focus on 2 things. I call them POP and POD. Points of parity. Where are you the same? What do you offer that's the same as them? That could be services, that could be pricing, it could be charging, it could be areas of delivery or whatever. And where are you different? Points of difference. But remember, that can be positive or negative. It's not where are you better than them, it's where are you different. So they might be better than you. They might have a quicker turnaround. For this company, that the maintenance company, they might have a service level agreement. That means they'll be there within 12 hours and you can't match that, right? Just write it down. It's not good or bad, just write it down. And then you can put a few thoughts. Are they part of a bigger company? Have they just lost their CEO? Have they launched in new areas? Just to think, that's it. But genuinely, I try to avoid doing competitor analysis because it doesn't really add any value. There's your 4-page marketing plan. You've got a strategy on one page, tactics on one page, calendar on one page, a budget on one page. Try and have a monthly marketing meeting with whoever's doing marketing. If you've got a marketing team, it's them. If it's a couple of people in the organization who have to post on social media and stuff, have a marketing meeting with them. And this is how you do it. Here's the things that we're going to talk about. Here's the activity that we're going to do and when we're going to do it and how much money we need to make from it. That's it. That's how you do a 4-page marketing plan. My name is Andi Jarvis. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn. If you've got any questions about this, drop me a direct message on LinkedIn. My service level agreement is usually to try and get back to you within 24 hours. Sign up to the email. I send that out once a week, which has marketing info and insight from me, from people on the podcast and things like that. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you found this useful. I would love to hear from you if you did, if you didn't. And apologies if you did tidy your background up right at the beginning when I said I might put you on camera. Thanks very much for listening, and I will hopefully see some of you soon.